Would you do me a favor? Would you give our psalmist a round of applause? What an incredible honor and privilege it is for me to stand before you on tonight. Many years ago, under former President Kwasi Nkrumah, I served as the National Youth and College Director of the NAACP for 6 years. And in those 6 years, I ate at more Freedom Fund dinners than the law should allow. And I promised to God I was never going back. And when I received this invitation, I was so overwhelmingly honored and humbled to be back in Region 5, to be a part of the largest, the greatest, and the strongest region of the NAACP. The NAACP is really under-heralded for making a significant mark in our community, second only to the Black church, has been the influence of the NAACP. But nobody will tell us it was in Freedom Fund dinners where we learned how to hold a fork in a knife. In Freedom Fund dinners where we, as Black people, was the only place where we could have a title and a position. We outdated every professional organization. It was in Freedom Fund dinners that our grandmothers only had this place to wear mink stoles and satin gloves. In the NAACP Freedom Fund dinners that we were reminded of the dignity of our own humanity and our right to have access to the capital that was yet to be fulfilled. And so our coming tonight is not just a celebration of plaques and certificates and honors, but this is an act of defiance that says that we still know how to exude grace under pressure. And so would you help me celebrate those who sit at the table? Come on, we got to do better than that. They've been through a lot. They survived a lot. They've overcome a lot. Is what George calls a post-traumatic slave syndrome, to know that we have endured our grandparents' trauma. I hope that we have not become so lackadaisical in achievement that we underrate its value. I hope that you do not mind indulging me to echo the sentiments of gratitude for this principal graduating 90% of her students. Is absolutely significant. I almost wanted to do somersaults and a backflip off the table for this young man being honored as a future neurosurgeon. And as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, let me say you stay away from everybody who has a blue jacket tonight. They think you no good. You got greatness on your life. I want you to mess it up. President Griggs, thank you so very much. I'm honored and deliciously delighted to be with you on tonight. And I know that you've got a long weekend ahead. Whether you went to primary school or private school or Montessori school or Catholic school or public school, all of us had our first introduction into white privilege by second grade. By second grade, our teacher unknowingly and unwittingly introduced us to white privilege by reading us a story. And the story that all of us can recite from memory was there was a seemingly innocent white girl with blonde hair who felt so empowered to break into a house with no fear of an alarm, no fear of anybody calling the police, no fear of anybody having the right to carry. So was she empowered emboldened by white privilege, that not only did she break into the house, she tried out different beds. She got in one bed and said, this one is too firm. As the young people would say, it's the audacity for me. She got in another bed and said, this is too soft. She got into another bed and finally finding her right position, said that this is just right. Having taken a midsummer afternoon's nap, she got up and said to herself, she's hungry. Went on to the kitchen, wearing somebody else's slippers and somebody else's house coat. Sat at the table in white privilege. She sat before one bowl of porridge and she began to blow over it and said, it's too hot. I can't eat it. It doesn't matter that it's not mine. She slid down the table and sat at another bowl and said, this is too cold. She got up from that and went to the other side of the table and ate yet another bowl of porridge that was not hers. And she said, this is just right. From that story of Goldilocks, in which all of us are familiar, operas have been created, coloring books, cartoons, movies. But psychologists came together and they discovered that there is a much more significant meaning than what it is that our primary school teachers intonated. And that is what psychologists call the Goldilocks effect. The Goldilocks effect is a mind of thinking that you cannot do anything unless it's just right. It is only if it is comfortable that we move into operation. I came today, an hour and a half it took me to get here, to talk to you. I came to talk to Negroes who are in silly posturepedic beds, who have become way too comfortable. And in their comfortability, believe that there is nothing for them to do. We have so rested on our laurels that we have slipped into a coma of consciousness, that we don't want to jump into anything if it's too hot. And we think it is beneath us if it is too cold. Isn't it amazing that on this Saturday night, that just 3 days ago on Wednesday, would have marked the 68th anniversary of the Montgomery bus boycott? Can you imagine the argument and the contention that took place in the basement of those churches on the timeliness of the boycott? Should we boycott now, 3 weeks from Christmas? Should we boycott now, knowing that there is a looming threat of our churches being burned, that our yards being engulfed in flames from across, from our children being endangered and our seniors having to walk? It was what Al Gore would call an inconvenient truth, but it is what Dr. King knew was the urgency of now. And I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, as we come tonight, have we gotten too comfortable? And all the more, are we comfortable is the catch in somebody else's bed? Is this where we are supposed to be? All that they march for, the indignity of fire hoses and having to lay clothes beside them because they couldn't try it on in the dressing room. Had to take food to go from the back of the restaurant, as grown men were still called boys. And yet we don't want to deal with the inconvenience of this moment. The call that God is calling us to do is to know that Fannie Lou Hamer had it right. Is that we sing, we shall overcome to help somebody else come over. But somehow or another we have slipped into a laissez-faire black middle class lifestyle and think that the full sum total aspiration of the civil rights movement was just for us to have Range Rovers and BMWs, for us to go to brunch instead of going to church, going to play ball, and to forget that there was still a great generation coming behind us who has no idea that they are eating the fruit that they never planted. We have raised a middle-class, black, entitled generation of children who don't even understand the sacrifice. It is amazing how it is that they have color TVs in their homes, but don't know how to conjugate verbs. They have $150 tennis shoes and don't even go out to be on the team. Isn't it amazing that they will not even text you back on the phone you bought? But they're not finding themselves in a competitive age. The average black child is 2 years behind on their reading level. 2 years behind on their reading level. And yet they know all of the words from Cardi B. They know all the words from the Migos. They know all of the words from Jay-Z. They know all the words from Lil Wayne, but they know absolutely nothing about Langston Hughes, who at 5'3" said on the corner of Lenox Avenue, "I too sing America." They ask me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I just laugh and eat well and grow strong. For tomorrow they'll see how beautiful I am because I too am America. You're raising a generation that has no idea what Maya Angelou meant when she said, "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies, but still like dust, I'll rise, I'll rise, I'll rise." They have absolutely no idea that in real DNA analysis that William Shakespeare was actually born to a black mother. And so Macbeth speaks out of our pain when he copywrote out of Ecclesiastes. Tomorrow, 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 creep into this petty pace from day to day, and life is just a poor player that struts and frets. It's hour upon the stage, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Isn't it amazing that even if they don't know any of that, they still don't know. He may not come when you want him to come, but he's an on-time God. Where are we as we're just 3 weeks away from Christmas? And we have absolutely no idea that if we are silent about the injustice that is taking place in Palestine, if we say absolutely nothing about the Congo or Sierra Leone or Uganda or Haiti, what makes you think that they won't come to Alpharetta in the morning? There is something significant that ought to awaken in us. To know that the charge that we have is not to be comfortable, but it is to pull us into a place to understand that the Negro spiritual is right. That if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or with a song, it is only then that my living is not in vain. I want us to really take a deep inhale and a real exhale and figure out, are we turning the NAACP into a country club? Or is it really an organization to fight for those who feel like they are left behind? Something is wrong. Something is wrong if around your table everybody has the same pedigree. Everybody went to the same HBCU. Everybody is a part of the same D9. We've got a responsibility for our cousins and them who don't even understand that the value of who it is that we are has nothing to do with chasing the bag. It has nothing to do with getting a Gucci or red bottoms or a Louis Vuitton belt, but the real understanding is raising the bar for our children to understand that our real responsibility is to put the NAACP out of business. Something is wrong if we want the NAACP to go to 150. Something should be placed so that it is an asterisk in time to say that's when it was needed, but it is not needed now. But I understand why you're comfortable. Why wouldn't you be comfortable? You got a black vice president. Why would you not be comfortable? You got a black senator. Why wouldn't you be comfortable? Now you got black high school principals. Why wouldn't you be principal when 2 out of those who are at your table now have master's degrees? Why wouldn't you be comfortable when you've got more shoes than you got books? Because we have forgotten that the right and the responsibility of who it is that we are is to be uncomfortable? How do you sleep at night knowing that you were in a bed your grandmother paid for?